So the French love their admin, but one thing that I've noticed in this country is they love to put numbers to things. And across France, there's 101 departments, départements they're called, and a lot of people refer to them just by the number. So they'll say, I live in the 78, which is stupid for me because I have no idea what they're talking about. But there are some people, James, our producer, for example, who say that they know the whole 100 off by heart.
Used to.
So if we were to...
Well, I did until you challenged me.
If we were to say, what's number 41?
Loir-et-Cher.
So he knows most of them. But what I love about this is that it's this connection of admin and France that just sort of apparently works. And they have the exact same thing in Paris with the districts, or as they're called in French, arrondissements. Okay, so for those people who don't know, I know it's a Paris show and you probably all know, but I'll explain it. These are 20 districts that work from right in the center with number 1 in a sort of clockwise snail all the way up to number 20, which is one of the bigger ones. And personally, I like to call them arrows because it's easier than a 4-syllable word. My brother, when he was here, called them kingdoms. I thought that was pretty charming. But I just mentioned all this before because it's something that's going to come back in the show. Let's start the show.
Eiffel Tower with Oliver G.
So this week we've got a guest in who is a tour guide. We've got Corey Frye. Welcome to the show, Corey.
Hi, thank you. It's really great to be here.
Thanks for coming in. And I refer to you as the Paris Whisperer.
Nice. I've never heard that before, but I'll accept it.
It's similar to a horse whisperer, except you do it for Paris. This guy's a tour guide extraordinaire. He takes people. He's got a fantastic blog that you got to follow. A French Frye in Paris.
That's it.
Play on words, which we love in this show.
Yeah, my last name's Frye, Frye, and I got lucky on that one. The sort of play on words, the pun just arrived.
You had to go with that one. Yeah.
I had to go with. I was obligated.
We should have had you on last week with the pun episode.
Yeah, well, missed opportunity.
Too late now. But you know, the thing with French Frye in Paris is when I Googled you, a lot of things that came up first were French fries in Paris.
Right.
That's not even a joke. This is people that were looking for the best French fries.
Yeah.
Is that a problem? People come on your tours hoping for French...
Expecting me to be French fries?
Yeah.
So far, no. But I understand that. Yeah, I'm in a constant sort of SEO battle and the search engine battle with
I can imagine.
French fries. But as long as you slap the E on the end of fry, then you're good to go. You'll find me.
So before we plug your site anymore, I think you need to prove yourself as an expert on Paris, which I think is only fair. And what we like to do on the show is a bit of a game. So what I'm going to do, and this is going to be a recurring theme throughout the show, is I'm going to get you on the spot to give me the best thing or the most unmissable thing in each of the districts that I mentioned just before. So I'm going to go through 1 to 5 right now, and you're going to tell me the most unmissable thing, the best thing that you have to see, the thing that you'd recommend to a guest who's very special.
Now, is this things specifically off the beaten track, or it's just literally the best thing to see?
The best thing is that you can take it however you want.
Yeah.
I mean, you can say the Eiffel Tower for whatever arrondissement that's in.
7.
See, I'm not very good at this.
Good thing you're not doing this game.
So what I want you to do is I'm going to say a number, and I want you to respond straight away. You're under pressure. We're timing you.
Yep.
For example, if you were to ask me the second where I live, I'd say Rue Montorgueil. It's the best people watching in Paris.
Yeah.
Just like that.
Yeah.
So these are the unmissable parts of the arrondissement.
Fair enough.
You might call them the don't miss them moles.
Wow. Okay. Well,
that's a continuation from last week's show.
Don't miss them at all. That's what they do.
Oh, don't miss them at all. Yeah. That's a noble attempt.
So this is to prove yourself as a tour guide. Let's go. Let's start with number 1.
Number 1, it's got to be the Louvre. I mean, it's a cliche, but you're going to be hard-pressed to find, first of all, a building that's more beautiful, just the interiors themselves. Forget about the permanent collection inside. But you got to go in there.
We're under the clock. Number 2.
Okay, number 2. The second arrondissement?
Yes.
Got to go to the Galerie Vivienne. The covered passages are some of the best hidden gems of Paris, and the second arrondissement is great for those.
Stop the clock. How many of these passages are there around? I don't know. I live in the second. I don't know.
Well, there used to be up to 150 of them in the Golden Age in the 19th century, but now there are about a dozen or 15 that still exist.
And they're called?
The covered passages, les passages couverts.
Okay.
You got to find them.
Number 3.
Number 3, I'd go with the marché des bons enfants. No, des enfants rouges.
Okay.
Marché des enfants rouges, beautiful market, very local. You go there for lunch and just you've got every international food, just beautiful.
Best lunch place in there?
There's a great burger joint that I like. I can't remember the name of it. But also, if you want Lebanese, kind of Middle Eastern food, you can't go wrong there. It's really good.
Okay.
Couscous.
Number 4.
Number 4, the Marais, it's my favorite. You've got to go into a church called St. Paul St. Louis. It's right next to the St. Paul metro station. It's an absolute treasure trove of little historical details.
and there's a beautiful basketball court directly behind it.
There is, yeah, a link to the lycée, I think it is.
For those who play basketball among the listeners, and I know there's some of them.
Yeah, for you sportive types.
And number 5.
Number 5, let's go with the Roman ruins, the old bathhouses next to the Cluny Museum. Fantastic. The former Roman bathhouses, they're about 1900 years old. Got to check that out.
I don't know about you, James, but Corey Frye has just proved himself.
I'm impressed.
Oh, really?
I'm impressed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
It's definitely, I think, a good start there to the game.
Okay, I've done my
Good
job.
start to the game, but there's still another 15 arrondissements to go through.
Maybe we should stop right there and I'll look really good.
we'll see how we go with that. But now, back to you a little bit. You became a tour guide in Paris. You've been doing it for a number of years now.
Yeah.
I mean, there's probably a lot of people who think, I want to move to Paris and be a tour guide. How did you get that journey started?
Yeah, I came here with no intention of being a tour guide. In fact, back in the States, in New York, where I'm from, where I lived, I wasn't interested in history all that much. It wasn't until I came here that it really grabbed me. And so originally I started blogging. I started this blog of French Fry in Paris way back in 2011, I think, and just to share my experiences. And I was so enamored with the city and just wanted to be as close to it as possible. And for me, I know it's different for everybody, but for me, being close to Paris meant learning everything about it, what happened on the streets, what the little details mean, the long-forgotten legends and the characters that walked these same streets as me.
That reminds me, I was reading your blog recently. You had the entry on the Palais Royal.
Palais Royal, yeah.
Fascinating, really good. A mix of history, pictures, and light enough that it doesn't feel that you're in some kind of a history lesson.
Thanks. Yeah, that's exactly. For me, history is very bland when it's just in the textbook and there's facts and figures and names. It's very dry. So I try to do the opposite of that. And I have a background in the arts, in painting and music. I studied, and you're Australian. I'm going to use an Australian. I'm going to say uni instead of college, right?
Thank you.
And so at uni, I studied painting and art history. And so for me, I was always attracted to the visual part of Paris. So I always include that usually on my blog. It's very visual, but also little bits and factoids and historical
And
stuff.
it seems like Paris is the ideal place for someone with that kind of background.
Oh, without a doubt, yeah.
But how did you actually
happy.
get started with tour guides? I mean, did you just...
Right. So I was sharing through my blog. At the beginning, it was just to show my family all the cool stuff that I was seeing and what I was up to. But then I started to share, and I got more into writing, more into photography, and my followers, lo and behold, contacted me and said, hey, we're coming to Paris. And they liked my perspective on Paris, and they just wanted
Brilliant.
to have me show them around. So I did that a little bit with friends and family and whatnot, and they started to say, you should be a tour guide. And I said, absolutely not. I just really thought that I wouldn't enjoy it, to be honest. Meeting new people all the time and trying to impress them and putting on a little show and blah, blah, blah. But you know what trumps all of that is just pure passion for Paris.
Yeah.
Once you get me started talking, I can't stop.
Well, I just did it then.
Yeah.
but one of the good things that I like about the blog is it's not like so many other Paris blogs that are, look at my cappuccino. You know, these people
I hear
some people call them chocolat show-offs, the people who just take a picture.
I heard that from last episode. I've actually been listening to all of these previous episodes. I'm a big fan of the show. In fact, I got to say that considering the substantial guests you've had on this show, I'm feeling quite flattered that I'm part of the roster.
You're more than welcome to be here, and we're honored to have you. And in fact, we've got
For the listeners who can't see, Ollie's on quite red there.
No, we got some great guests coming up as well. I hint to you about. But thanks for the kind words, Corey.
Yeah.
One thing that you were saying, because we talk about the text, but there's also the photos behind all that on your blog, which you've definitely got something for photography there.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. It's something I've really tried to develop and take seriously because obviously it's a very picturesque city, and the challenge of trying to capture it, not only capture it on your own, but when it's such, the market's flooded, right, with Paris blogs and photography. You go on Instagram and you can find beautiful feeds. So you got to find a way to bring your own thing to it, and so I try to approach it with that artist mentality of, you want to fit in a little bit and get yourself out there and get to sort of exposure, but you got to find your own avenue. And so I'm trying to search for that.
Speaking of avenues, there's plenty of avenues in the 6th arrondissement.
Ooh,
We're back to the game. We're back to the game. Straight to it. What's in case you're just joining us, you're listening to World Radio Paris. This is my show, The Eiffel Tower. Oliver G. That's me. I'm here with James Vazina and Corey Frye, who runs tour guides around Paris. We're putting him on the spot today, proving how well he knows the city and going through each of the arrondissements to hear the Aron don't miss a month. No, what did I say before? Aaron, don't miss any of them.
It was something
don't
like
miss
that.
any of them, yeah. Stick with it, though. You'll find it.
Yeah,
so
we're putting him on the spot, and right now we're asking for the best thing in the 6th.
6th, you got to go to a cafe called Le Procope. It's the very first cafe in Paris, founded 1686, and it's just a treasure trove upstairs of French Revolution memorabilia. It's pretty fantastic.
Whereabouts is it?
It's, Odeon and the theaters and all of that.
Sure,
the metro station is just right next to it, just down the street.
What about the 7th?
7th, you should go to, there's a beautiful little fountain, and it's a fountain dedicated, it's on the Rue Saint-Dominique, and it's dedicated, it's sort of called the Fontaine de Mars, in Mars, the god of war. And in the nearby Champ de Mars.
My favorite god.
The favorite god, right? It's a good one to go with. The Eiffel Tower, you have that big, and I'm going to be real quick. Yeah, Eiffel Tower and the Champ de Mars, that big stretch of green grass, that park.
Right.
It's named the Champ de Mars because the Romans defeated the early Parisians there and named it after their Roman god of war. So a lot of things in that area are called Mars, and there's a beautiful fountain there on the Rue Saint-Dominique, rather.
You didn't go for the Eiffel Tower as the 7th.
So
We can go for the Eiffel Tower because I'm going to go on a limb and assume everyone knows that one, and they're probably
Well,
going
I didn't know that it was in the 7th.
Okay, fair enough. Well,
But 8th.
8th.
We'll catch him out.
Yeah, things are getting trickier now.
The view of the Eiffel Tower.
from the Champs-Élysées.
Yeah,
If there is one.
I'm gonna go with the. If this is, I think this is in the 8th.
We've stumped him.
No, I'm gonna go with the Petit Palais.
The Petit Palais.
The Petit Palais is, you have the Grand Palais and the Petit Palais on the opposite sides, just off the Champs-Élysées. And the trick there is you've got to go in the Petit Palais. It's free. A lot of people don't know it's free to enter. And you go in the back, there's a little garden, an interior courtyard, and a great little cafe. It's one of my best sort of unknown cafe hotspots where you can be totally tranquil and grab a drink and enjoy the architecture.
I imagine the coffee's not free.
Coffee's not free, no.
Okay, what about the 9th?
The 9th, you got to go with the Opera House. It takes €11. Beautiful, from Phantom of the Opera
This is
legend.
just to walk around. This isn't to see a proper show or anything. You just go in and have a tour.
Just to enter, yep. 11, I think it's €11. You go in and you're free to roam around, and chandeliers, painted ceilings, marble staircases. It's the origins of the Phantom of the Opera.
10th.
10th, you've got to do the Canal Saint-Martin.
Love the canal.
Hands down, Canal's great. I mean, it's always kind of in a cliche way described as an up-and-coming place, but it's actually arrived now, and you go to see the gastronomy, really. Drink some coffee at 10 Bells Cafe.
And for 10 Bells. And for a lot of people who maybe aren't familiar with the canal, you might remember it from Amélie, the hit film. That's where she's skimming the stones, isn't it?
Yeah, one of the locks, exactly.
Okay, you brought up something interesting that I want to go back to, and that's courtyards in Paris. That's something you've blogged about, these kind of hidden courtyards. What I wanted to ask is, how do you get in there? Because I'm too afraid. I don't want to just walk in and get yelled at. Or are they...
It's true. Well, you got to get rid of that feeling, for sure. You've got to ignore
I had the same thing with cheese shops. I couldn't go into them. I felt that the way I felt is that you go in there and they'd say, so what do you want? And for me, who I'm not, when I came here especially, I wasn't used to the cheeses. Yeah. I'd look at 100 different types of cheese, and I honestly didn't know what to say. I didn't know how they tasted. I was afraid that they would ask me questions I didn't understand.
Yeah, you know, as a side note, my wife's Parisian. That's how I ended up here. And when she goes to the States and she's hanging out with my family, she doesn't understand this idea that we have in the States of just going into a food shop and just admiring the food with no intention to buy. And so I think you're coming across that sort of French concept of, if you go into a shop to buy something and then you're out, you don't go in to admire. And so
what are you saying? In France, you can admire, or in America?
No, in France, the French idea is that you go into a shop to buy food.
Right,
you don't go in to just marvel at the pretty displays of food, which in the States, my family and I, we do all the time.
So what's the secret with the courtyards? You walk in and if anyone's around, you pretend you own the place? Or
yeah, that's it. If you speak a bit of French, that helps as well. You can even tell them, like, sorry, I'm just a flâneur, which some people will know that great word of, I'm just a sort of conscientious observer of Paris, and
flâneur is someone who wanders the streets and perhaps has nothing to do besides wander. Yeah,
flâneur is one of those great words, and tour guides come across it. Tour guides live their life as flâneurs, basically. And long story short, in the 19th century, this word came into prominence in Paris in particular, and it just describes the act of roaming around with no intent or no place to go, but just looking for inspiration.
Gormless, we call it in Australia.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
That's a new one for me. Okay. But we're talking about courtyards.
Yeah. So.
Well, you know, Parisians are getting more and more private. The classic digicode, where you got to punch in the little number to get in. Well, so that's tricky. So have I, sort of stalked and waited for a resident to come out and then I've slipped in? Yeah, I've done that occasionally.
You've done that.
And but the payoff is always worth it. And if someone sees you, you just give them a smile and bonjour, and you just go about your day, and don't linger.
And what about for these people who don't understand what we're talking about, these courtyards? These are, I mean, you can explain better than I because I've never dared to go in one. But these are big, all sorts of shapes and sizes. But these kind of private, what can we expect if we're...
Well, there's a historical reason behind that. is that the royal palaces and the aristocratic homes in Paris and throughout France were always built around courtyards. And so you had an entrance that came into a courtyard, it's a parking lot for the horse-drawn carriages, and then you'd be surrounded on both sides by the horse stables and the servants' quarters and the kitchens, and then in the back it'd be the principal residence. So interestingly, the civil architecture of Paris, the residential architecture followed suit and followed that. So if you look at Paris from a bird's eye view, you're going to see that it's mostly courtyards and gardens surrounded by four wings of a building. And so that's why some of the best hidden and beautiful spots of Paris are actually off limits, and you got to find a way to get in there.
Can you give us one courtyard that we should go and check out? I'm whispering because
no one can hear you.
Yeah, I'm going to give you guys a great tip. In the Marais, not far from Saint-Paul metro station.
the basketball court.
It's not the basketball court. There's a location, it's the appeals court of France. And it's just down the street. And if you actually, there's a digicode, sort of a code you got to put in. But if you just hit the button, it's going to call in to the guards inside, and you ask them to enter. When you enter, you're going to see a beautiful courtyard of something called the Hôtel de Beauvais. And it's a 17th century aristocratic home, what we call an hôtel particulier. And you got to go in there. It's fantastic.
But when the guards answer, what do you say?
You say, I would like to look at the courtyard, please.
And how do you say it in French?
Normally, I would say, c'est juste pour regarder la cour vite fait, s'il vous plaît.
Okay, you could play that in if you don't speak French and just repeat it into the digicode together.
Yeah, and you can test my accent and see if it's
wow. They'll say, this is Corey again.
Right. Damn you, Corey. Leave us alone.
Okay, that's a great tip there. We'll print out a map and put it on the.
That's a great idea. Yeah.
On my Facebook page, which is all you have to do is search for the Eiffel Tower on Facebook.
There'll be hundreds of people turning up there.
And if you want to find, it's not my fault. If you want to find that place, you can find it. The Hôtel de Beauvais is the name of the building.
Okay, nice one.
Yeah.
Something tells me it's time for the continuation of the arrondissements.
Yep.
I think you need to get your word back.
Okay, let me get this right.
These
are the arrondissements.
Yep. You got it. You nailed it.
So what we're doing, if you just joined us, if you just walked in the room and you're wondering who's talking, we've got Corey Frye, tour guide extraordinaire, the Paris Whisperer. You got me, Oliver G, and James Vezina, the producer.
I'm just doing the listening on the history here.
James is pressing the buttons, doing the listening, here for a history lesson.
I am.
And we're about to put Corey on the spot to tell us the most unmissable thing that some people are calling the arrondissements of arrondissement number 11.
Some people are using that word.
Yeah. Stop checking your phone, Corey. We need you on the spot.
Oh, hey, I think he's checking for spaces in the... What arrondissement are we on? The 11th.
We're on the 11th. Okay, ready?
Yeah.
And just to put you on the spot, we start with the 12th.
Okay, 12th. 12th, you want to do the Promenade Plantée, or also known as La Coulée Verte, which is a great former elevated railway track.
Oh, I've done that. It's fantastic.
Yeah, exactly.
Near Bastille.
Yeah, exactly, from Bastille, and it stretches out into the 12th. And that is great. If you're looking for something that no tourists ever find, you can do that.
Good for a date.
Very nice for a date, when not on a day like this.
No, I mean, in Paris right now, it's we're in sub-zero at the moment as we're struggling through winter.
I think it's warmer in Iceland, isn't it?
It is warmer in Reykjavik.
It is. So
we're wearing scarves in the studio.
So if you truly love if you love your date, don't bring her there now. Wait for
another secret from Corey Frye. Back to 11th. What's the unmissable?
The 11th, you want to go to the Cat Cafe. You know, there are a couple of cat cafes in Paris. And there's one in Bastille now.
Okay.
Yep, there's a new one.
And that's what you take a cat in?
No. It's a working cafe, and they've got cats. They own cats, house cats, that I think were, strays taken in, and it's like a shelter. And so you basically have your coffee and your little crumpet or whatever.
And an injection when you go in.
Yeah, exactly, right.
When you come out.
You just got little cats playing around, jumping on your lap and all that stuff. So,
great.
Yeah, I find, by the way, incidentally, a lot of folks ask me, I'm bringing kids to Paris, and how do I keep the kids interested and engaged? Cat cafe, you can't lose.
Look at all these tips. Okay, we're at 13 now.
13. Let's see. Place d'Italie, Gobelin. Well, Chinatown is in the 13th. So I think what you should do in Chinatown, you got to go in the southeastern part of the 13th. It's the Chinatown of Paris, and you're going to eat some fantastic Chinese food there.
Okay. Any restaurant you can recommend?
There's one that's on the tip of my tongue. I'd have to check on it. I can give it to you in a minute.
Okay. What are we up to now? 14th.
14th, you got to do the catacombs.
Oh, I've never done the catacombs.
Oh, you got to do the catacombs.
What's the tip? Give us a tip for how to avoid the queues.
Open up a gutter, I think that's the tip.
You bring up something interesting that, Corey, you can probably tell us a bit more about.
Yeah.
A lot of people, especially who call themselves cataphiles, sneak down into these catacombs.
They do. There are hundreds of them, yeah.
Tell us about it.
Cataphiles have been around a long time, and there are hundreds of them. And what they do is they organize clandestine sort of events in the illegal parts of the catacombs. Now, when you go in the catacombs and you pay as a tourist, you're going to walk through about a mile's worth of the underground tunnels, but there are up to 200 miles beneath Paris, a whole network about 300 kilometers or so. So the cataphiles go into the illegal portions of that, armed with headlamps and homemade maps, and they go and do all sorts of crazy stuff. And they're actually a set of cops that follow them around. They're sort of the cataflics, or the catacops. So the catacops chasing the cataphiles. And the catacops have actually found some extraordinary leftovers of the cataphiles underneath. They've left behind entire working restaurants, movie theaters, libraries. It's pretty extraordinary.
Do you know the story about the man whose bones were found?
Philibert Asper, 1793. He was found down there. He's got lost.
Well, wasn't it? It was 1794, wasn't it? No, I'm just kidding.
Am I showing off with the dates?
No,
maybe
not at all.
I'm showing off.
No, we love it. Not at all.
Yeah, it's just because I happen to give tours of the catacombs, so this is a story I tell often. But anyway, he got lost down there during the Revolution looking for liquor in a nearby convent. And he only brought one candle down with him, and that was his fatal error. So candle went out, he got lost, he's in the dark. They found him 11 years later. And the only way that they knew his skeleton was him is because he was a ringmaster, keymaster for a hospital, and his skeleton had a ring of keys attached to it.
It's a bit like the Into the Wild story, except in the catacombs instead of Alaska.
Yeah, and get this, they found that skeleton 100 feet from an exit.
Oh, really?
Yeah, 30 meters away. He almost made it.
He just gave up?
Just gave up after God knows how many days.
Wow. Okay. Hang on.
So, by the way, interestingly, the cataphiles see him as their patron saint.
Okay, we're up to number 15.
Yeah, 15. 15. That's going to get tough. It's going to get tough now.
You signed up for this, Corey.
I did.
You can have a break in a minute.
What you want to do is probably go to the UNESCO building. They have some beautiful gardens and modern architecture. A lot of people don't know that. The headquarters of UNESCO there.
Great. Okay. So those were another 5 arrondissements. We're here with Corey Frye. Let's talk about public toilets. My little sister, when I told her that I was interviewing a tour guide tonight, she said, ask him about the public toilets. How do you find a good public toilet? And is it okay to just walk into a restaurant and say, I need to use your toilet?
Be a girl. Be a girl, right? Yeah, be beautiful.
Check.
So this is the trick. Yeah, public toilets, really, really tough. There are a few Starbucks and McDonald's around, which we lament, right? We hate that about Paris. We don't want to see that.
I hate it with every French fry I eat.
Exactly right.
Fry, we're gonna
well
eat.
done, you little tie-in. Yeah, you're good. You're a professional.
Thank you.
But yeah, so you can find them occasionally just on the street. You know, those little sanitaires, whatever they're called. They're not very good.
James, who's Parisian, said he's visited them once. Is that what you said?
There's like toilet
They're
boxes.
nasty.
I think I went once when I was a kid. Yeah,
they're nasty. But this is my trick. If you're going to end up going into a cafe, a French cafe, and they're not necessarily going to want to let you use it. So you can either go in and politely ask. You can buy a coffee. That always works. But my trick that I find works is that you go in slightly frantically with your phone to your ear, pretending that you're in an important phone call. You know, it's a phone meeting and blah 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 overseas, and you start speaking in French and acting like it's very important. Keep your head down and just head back to the toilet. Wow. And they're not gonna interrupt you for that.
So you don't say anything.
No.
You just pretend.
You just act like you're in a very important French phone call.
And if you don't speak French, just pretend.
Yeah, exactly. Wow. Is that my fake French? That was disgusting.
That's not bad.
I've got one actually. I was taking the metro at Cranny just the other day, and I walked down, and there are these new toilets. This is a pretty big event. I think there's like some kind of like turnstile and everything. And I just saw like rows of multicolored toilet roll. Like there was a rainbow made of toilet roll. That I think toilets are becoming a thing in Paris.
They're becoming a thing. Do you want to know the best public toilet that you can use in Paris?
No, because I already know it.
Oh, tell me.
Is it the Ritz Hotel? Is it the Ritz, the one that's just opened after a big renovation?
That's the Ritz. And you can just walk in and use it?
That's what I did.
Okay.
And there's there were gold plated, there were gold handles and everything like that.
Right.
Yeah. There was a security guard that was there to carry me out when
to gently throw you out.
What's the multicolored toilet paper there?
I didn't see any multi. It was gold.
Oh yeah, I gotta see this.
Gold.
I gotta see this.
Go to Cranny.
Okay, what was your tip, Corey?
Well, this is one that people pass by all the day at the end of the Tuileries Gardens, next to the big Ferris wheel there at Place de la Concorde.
I've seen that.
Now you're gonna pay 70 cents, I think, but it's really clean, really nice, and you walk in and there's actually a copy of the Mona Lisa as you walk in. So how often can you urinate next to the Mona Lisa?
Wow.
For all of 70 cents.
70 cents. That's I generally have a problem with paying to go to the toilet because I think it's
I think it's
human
a
right.
human need. Yeah.
Human
I hear
need.
you. I hear you. Yeah.
But I mean, 70 cents to pee next to the Mona Lisa is something I've always wanted to do.
As
I
a-
said that before on the show, haven't I, Jade?
No, I wasn't there.
You weren't. Oh, you
No, I
weren't that
wasn't
episode. I think we're going to do the last 5.
Yeah, go for it.
there are 5 more arrondissements. Who knew?
Yeah.
Wow.
So these are the last 5, the bigger ones. So it should be maybe harder to narrow something down.
Yeah, this will be tougher.
And let's hear from the 16th what you'd recommend.
16th is something that I've recently found. There's a guy named Hector Guimard. He's the architect who did all these beautiful metro stations, right, with the Art Nouveau cast iron green sort of frog eye metro stations.
Right.
Well, he was an extraordinary architect, and he actually lived and was prolific in building buildings in the 16th. So you roam around in the 16th, you're going to find some extraordinary Art Nouveau architecture from the turn of the century.
Okay, what about the 17th?
17th, I'm going to go with the Parc Monceau.
Oh, that's one of my favorite parks.
Parc Monceau is fantastic, and it's so local, and it's clean, families. It's just extraordinary. It's
I've
really
got a fact for you about Parc Monceau.
Lay it on me.
You'll never see someone running anti-clockwise.
No.
Everyone will always run in a clockwise
Hey.
direction. No, everyone. I take that back.
No, other way around,
Everyone
yeah.
runs anti-clockwise because I've been there and I've watched it, and it's like I don't know why, but it's just everyone's in on the same page
Yeah.
there.
That's wild.
Yeah,
There's a school inside there actually as well, isn't there?
a school inside the
There's a
park.
school in the Parc Monceau.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Just on the inside, yeah.
I didn't know that.
Sometimes I go there and I run in the opposite direction to create chaos. We are up to 18. Let's hear the 18th tip.
Well, the 18th now you're in Montmartre country. Yeah, we're in the 18th
Well, Radio
right now,
Paris.
actually. So I would say that probably James is the best attraction in the 18th at the moment. But let's see, what do I love? I love art history, so I would go with Picasso's old studio, Le Bateau Lavoir. You stand in front of that old building, and know that Picasso, essentially his artistic career started there. He created some of his seminal masterpieces right there.
Would you recommend? Can you go inside, or you just go? And
You
look
can't
at it
go
from
inside.
outside?
It's sort of private residence and studios now. But you can stand in this cute little square right in front of it and just contemplate the fact that you're standing in the footsteps of one of the greats.
Do you recommend the Picasso Museum?
I do. I mean, you got to be a Picasso fan. If you're just coming as a general tourist, there are other museums that you should probably see first. If
Maybe it's a bit Picasso. So
there he goes again. Yeah, newly renovated. It's in an old aristocratic home. Really nice building.
okay, 19th.
Oh, the 19th. Jeez, you might stump me. You might stump me on the 19th. I think that might be the one.
You're asking for help. I can read between
Yeah.
the lines. The 19th. You want to walk along the Quai de la Loire.
Yeah.
That's what you want to do. You want to
Okay.
walk down there where the cormorants.
The Canal de l'Ourcq.
Yeah, the canal. You can take a boat trip.
Oh, sure. Yeah,
That's
yeah.
not bad. There's a Pan
is-
Am brewery down the end, which is a nice
Yeah, yeah.
place run
Is that
by a
the
Australian guy.
Bassin la Villette? Is that the next?
Exactly. Yeah,
Oh,
that's
well,
the
then
one.
you got to do that. You got to walk around. Bassin la Villette's gorgeous. There are these péniches, which are these sort of anchored boats on the canal. Some of them are hip restaurants. Some of them are cafes. Some of them are bookstores. And you just do the thing, walk up and down that Bassin de la Villette.
And you can have a coffee inside a bathtub.
You
Oh,
can.
That's exactly
Can't you,
right.
really?
We've done that.
Yeah.
There's a
Yeah.
bar there
I
next to
have.
Pan Am Brewery. You can sit
Right.
in. It's a house. It's exactly like a little home, and you can go in. You can sit in the kitchen for a beer. You can sit in the bathroom. You can literally sit in the bath and have a beer if you want. If
Yeah,
that's
it's
your
a
kind of
really,
thing.
really cute place.
Or you can go home and do the exact same thing.
It shows, yeah.
Yeah, slightly less glamorous, I think, if you do it that
Cheaper
way.
though.
It's
Cheaper.
it's a lot cheaper, yeah.
And we're at the end. We're at number 20. Give us your arrondissement.
That was the first time you said
That's
it right.
because I wrote it down.
Right. In the 20th, let's see. Okay, 20th, you've got to do Père Lachaise Cemetery.
The
Without a doubt.
cemetery.
Let me tell you, this cemetery, you might think that it's kind of weird to go and travel all the way to Paris and go to a cemetery, but this is like an outdoor sculpture gallery. It's about 100 acres. You're going to come across Jim Morrison and
Jim Morrison he's
Oscar-
talking about.
Jim Morrison, Oscar Wilde, Edith Piaf, Delacroix, Chopin. You're going to see all those tombs, but visually it's just stunning. It's a park.
Yeah.
Some people have likened it. They've called it actually the 21st arrondissement. So technically there are 21 arrondissements if you count the cemetery.
Well, that's a great way to finish off the show, Corey. It's been an absolute pleasure having you in the studio.
That's been my pleasure. Thank you.
For anyone who wants to do a proper tour of Paris, we're talking about a personalized tour, like the kind of information you've just been getting over the past 25 minutes. Head to his website, check him out on Facebook, book a private tour with this guy. You won't regret it.
Yeah, French Frye in Paris, and Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. You can find me, contact me, and I'll show you some cool stuff.
There you go. You heard it here. James, thanks for having you.
Thanks very much for being on the show.
All right,
And
guys.
You've been listening to the Earful Tower. Find us on Facebook too. You know how it works, and we'll see you again next week.
Eiffel Tower with Oliver G.